G'day viewers, welcome to another weekend edition of TFU. Hey, I did a couple of extra videos during the week, so I thought you could wait a day longer for this. But it was a totally fucked up week, as per usual. Spoiled for choice. I'm sure no matter what I talk about, someone will go, oh, you should have talked about, I know, right? There was a lot. But I've picked a few. And first I'm going to start in the world of video gaming and the news of video games being banned, or more accurate, refused classification in Australia. Now everyone went, yay, there's now an R18 plus rating for games in Australia for the first time ever. And then they got upset that a game was refused classification. Now, there's sort of layers of fucked up in this as far as I'm concerned. You wouldn't have had to have watched a lot of my videos to know I am opposed to censorship on principle, pretty much. But in this context, the way I was going to say some, and I'll actually turn that up to most gamers reacted without anything remotely approaching rational thought, really fucking bugged me. First they go, oh, what's the rating system even for? Well, educate yourself, fuckwit. Films get refused classification too. See, not unlike America where there's the ultra, okay, everything's free speech. We don't have laws like that in Australia. The government gets to decide what is and isn't acceptable for adults. I don't really agree with that, but hey, it is the rules. It gets applied far more stringently to games, and I think this outdated attitude of, oh, the interactive, you're in there, that's worse than watching a movie or reading a book. I think that's arguable. I think it shows a lack of understanding of games. But point one, why do we even have a rating system if you've got to refuse? It's what happens, okay? They say, no, this can't be legal on any level. We will refuse classification, which makes it illegal to sell this in Australia. Okay, so first, educate yourself. Second, if you're a gamer and you, upon hearing about a game being banned because of the violent anal rape part of it, that's fun. If your first, and in most cases, only reaction was, oh, unfair, I want to play anal rape game, I'll just download it, I'll import it illegally, and you do not pause for a second to go, well, maybe this is actually a childish, fucked up mentality in this game, and possibly this is something I don't want to support anyway. You know, if you can't even pause and think the idea of violent sexual assault as entertainment is troubling for some people, then maybe fuck you, okay? That's what maybe. Fuck you, okay? If you can't even think things through, I'm not wasting time on you. As it turns out, I think it's like a dildo weapon to jam up someone's ass in the game that is part of it. But that's only part. Another part of the banning or the refusing of classification was drug use in the game, because that got highlighted only a day or two later when a zombie game called State of Decay was also refused classification because you use real-world drugs to repair yourself, power up in the game. And there's very hyper obsessive things about drugs in games, which I really, really don't agree with. Hell, there's a game banned in Australia because it was about graffiti tagging, which is illegal, and you get points for your crimes, and it was banned for promoting crime. There are, without doubt, some seriously fucked up lapses in Australian censorship law. And topic for another video, but don't go saying that, oh, it's all better in America. There are some utterly ridiculous double standards in the US that don't exist in Australia. I'll go into that another day. But yeah, while I am opposed to censorship, I'm also really quite opposed to entitled little gamer fuckheads who can't even wrap their head around the idea that not everyone regards violent sexual assault as entertaining. Some people think that's kind of fucked up. And if you can't even think about it, then I don't give a fuck about you, quite honestly. But let's go on to, I want to change the mood. I regard this story as like classical old school TFU in that it's just, ugh, what the fuck? And again, it's one of those headlines that I think sub-editors wait their whole life for. They never think they'll get a chance, but every now and then you get a chance to write a headline like masturbating man caught molesting bicycle. Which is kind of a spoiler for the article because there is a bit of build-up. It happened in Sweden. There was a guy who was upset. Someone kept puncturing the tyres on his bike or his girlfriend's bike. And he thought, I'm going to put a hidden camera out and I'll catch them in the act. That'll do it. And they got a little more than they bargained for. Because what happened is a guy comes along, punches the tyres on the bike, and then jerks off over the seat. Ew, I have friends, I associate with a lot of people who go, no, we've got to be open and accommodating and understand different expressions of sexuality. No, jerking off over bike seats that aren't yours, that you don't have permission for. It's all about consent, people. The bike can't consent, and in this case, the bike owner really didn't. And he's justifiably concerned because he saw the guy has a picture. He's looking at a picture while he's jerking off on the girlfriend's bike, and he's worried it's a picture of a girlfriend. So honestly, this is yay close to serial killer shit as far as I'm concerned. This is a bad thing. When you read on, you find out police think it may be this guy, right? There's this guy who a few years ago was puncturing tyres and whacking off over seats. And they got him, and he was put in a mental institution, not surprisingly, but they think he's been released. So, and the bit that struck me, and that was, oh god, this is a thing? There might be more than one. There might be more than one guy who jerks off on bike seats. I hope it's the same guy. It's way more scary if it's a thing. There's a whole subculture out there of bike wankers, and not the spandex-clad bike wankers who shit me with the way they think they're kings of the road. That's a different sort of bike wanker. This is person who wanks onto bike. That's getting into some seriously fucked up territory right there. But you know, another topic that I often like to talk about is in the realm of copyright, trademarking, ownership of said things. Is it pirating? Is it theft? Is it sharing? Is copyright too much? Not enough? All these things. And I found just a fucked up... There were actually a few stories I could have raised this week, but this one I'm going for just for tiny-minded fucked upness. Now, this involves two fairly big names in the American pop music scene, Will.i.am and Pharrell. I asked on Twitter, you know how actually unhelpful it is to ask in text how to pronounce a name? I asked you, do you pronounce his name Pharrell Williams or Pharrell Williams? And I think most people agreed it was Pharrell Williams. Anyway, so there's a dispute. Pharrell Williams has started up a label, an arts idea that he calls I Am Other. And Will.i.am says he has trademarked the words I am. And he has a logo and whatnot. And he's going, oh, no, that I am other. I own the words I am. They fucking existed already, shithead. And I do get really angry at this whole idea. I can not copyright, I can trademark words. Look, to a degree, when it's a known thing like, okay, no one else should be able to market shoes with the slogan, just do it. You know, a really well-known slogans you shouldn't just be able to rip off. But when you get this ridiculous fucking lawsuit going up with Will.i.am saying, oh, the logos are confusingly similar. Well, you know, that's what the two logos look like. Yeah, they're so fucking similar. This shits me. This really does. I mean, I don't know, maybe Pharrell Williams could have a little extra line on his I am other asterisk. This is the I am not involved with that real fuckwit. Because seriously, I think the only good thing Will.i.am ever did was punch Perez Hilton in the head. And even that, you know, I'm not sure he really should have done that. But it's just, you know, I was looking at some of the pictures of him and, jeez, he's a fuckwit. I mean, I want to help him. I have an idea of a few slogans Will.i.am could use just to really expand his ownership of I am. If you miss it all, you're in for a treat. He will rip you to pieces. The bully. Seriously, fuck that guy. But really, top of the list this week for fuck that guy, Lance Armstrong. Oh, role model to millions, fell so far when it turned out he was a complete and utter fraud. One of the worst cheats in sporting history. Every single time he won the Tour de France, he was tanked to the gills on illegal substances. And he only got away with it for so long because he had the most elaborate schemes to dodge the tests. And even if it was just there, I wouldn't really care that much. It's like, oh, well, whatever, he's a cheat. Ugh. But when people over the years tried to expose him and say, no, he's cheating, he tried to destroy those people's lives. He told lies about them. He put pressure on people to make them lose their jobs, to ruin their lives, when he knew they were telling the truth. He knew he was lying. He's a fucking sociopath. And he came up this week because he's in an interview like, oh, well, the only reason I doped is that you couldn't win at that time without doping. You just had to. Fuck you! You were the reason people were doping. Everyone fucking knew you were doping. They couldn't dope as well as you. You were the problem. You weren't suffering because of doping. You were the fucking problem. Oh, fuck that guy so much. Seriously, he is an out and out sociopath. The concept that you could just so pass off your own responsibilities and go, oh, I was just a guy, right? You were just a fucking cheat. And you weren't pushed into it. You fucking chose to it. You were the problem. You weren't suffering from the problem. You were the fucking problem. Honestly, and some people go, oh, why not let them? Well, I'll give you. There are basically two big reasons to try and stop doping in sport. First is it gives an unfair advantage to the people with more money who can get more elaborate doping things happening. And yes, people with more money have an unfair advantage in sport anyway. But the second big one is that shit kills you. If you had no limits on doping, it would be like, Eastern Europe in the 70s and 80s, what was done to athletes. Shit that ruins your life, deforms you, fucks you up, and you die really young. And so if there was no limits on it, so many young athletes would kill themselves for a chance at glory. They already are. Even with the limits, they're injecting themselves with shit that will shorten their lives, that will ruin their lives. If they're lucky enough to live past 40, their bodies will be fucking ruined. So that's why doping's illegal, because, well, just because it's cheating, and also because it will fucking kill you. And seriously, the idea that Lance bloody Armstrong is still out there acting like, oh, but I didn't do anything wrong. It's just what it was. That makes him the worst person in the world. I can't say it enough. Seriously, fuck that guy.